This video is going to have no correlation to the guide or anything. It's a video that I just feel like this should be posted on with my channel to give you a bit of a background of who I am and like what kind of a person I am. Many people find homeless people to not really be motivated or focused. Like there's a certain genetic mutation that just makes us unable to adequately fit in society. And that's not true. I don't think that's true at all. Homeless people, for the most part, are either individuals that have made bad choices or fell into very crappy situations and couldn't react or didn't have a chance to react. So, I went to high school, 1.7 GPA. Didn't really care for it, showed no motivation towards it. Went to college, graduated with a bachelor's in electronic engineering, 3.86 GPA. I was top of the class, very well gifted. A lot of people looked up to me. Was a tutor, teacher's aide. I excelled because I cared about electronics at the time. Well, some bad choices happened, and they were not my choices. I became unemployed during 6 months to the end of my bachelor's degree. Had no gas to get to college. That was kind of the least of my worries, to be honest. I had no food at the house. There was no PG&E. Lights are out. Eviction notice on the door. I tried getting jobs, but the county that I resided in, it's a very rough county, like population to job ratio. Like unless you were educated on how to go through interviews properly with experience, not just like know, but have experience in it, and know how to look for jobs, look what for what employers are looking for, and be able to meet those criterias, you wouldn't make it. Even McDonald's, you try and get a fast food out here, they're overstaffed. The downtown one, I know makes no profit, but they have like 20 people on staff. Anyways, so I tried doing job applications. I was on unemployment. Tried stabilizing the home, but there was no way. It was already plummeting. I somehow made it to complete my bachelor's. I didn't go to receive my diploma. I didn't walk with my classmates. I didn't even have the opportunity. There was no way. Started balancing ramen, dry ramen. Like how grade schoolers would just break up the ramen, put in the packet. And I'm rationing it. And sometimes I'd have bologna and bread, and that was like the highlight. At the end of the day, though, it didn't really matter. I had to give up my dog. I had to give up everything. I threw away a lot of my childhood stuff. Uh, there was no way I'd be able to keep those memories and be on the move. When you go homeless, you pretty much take your bare necessities, like the bare minimum. I moved over to my aunt's house, and my aunt is a very loving person, but the environment was very unwelcoming. It got to the point where I felt so uncomfortable that I chose to go live out of my car. Most people, they say stick around, but I don't I don't think many people would. Not through that. It wasn't like a physically abusive environment. But at the time I was I was 23, 24. Um I was 23 years old. I didn't have that good anger management skills. I didn't have that much experience. Most of my life has been at that point in perspective was shit. So I felt like no need to control, or not control, but manage rather. After I left and started living out of my car, I kept working at the restaurant I was working at, and eventually I transferred to a different franchise, and I moved up quite quickly. I think one of my best calls that I ever did by far was making that change. It was the same it was the same restaurant but a different franchise. I learned a lot through that company. It matured me as an adult, and I there's a lot of maturity for me to have, but it changes you. Um, I met someone who I love very dear. She ended up leaving her own environment for the same reasons to live with me in my car. And it was kind of complicated, but we did what we needed to do to survive. I'm not saying like we did anything illegal, but we pushed, we rationed out our food, we rationed our resources. As I got promotions, it became a lot easier. Um, my dad had something going for him. Stayed with him for about 2 months, cleaned up. Then I wasn't welcome there. But he would still help, but it wasn't open arms like how a parent should. And now it comes down to what choices do I make? My car broke down while I was living with a friend, bouncing house to house. Ended up living with my friend. It was a very awesome dude that I worked with before. Though I found that he actually didn't even stay at the place that much. And we prearranged that if I couldn't find a place within a certain amount of time that I would leave. Well, that time ran up. There was no way I could afford living out there. A studio apartment, $2,700 a month. Like, unless you're on actual good salary rate, a wage, it's not gonna happen. If you're not making 3,500 to 4K a month, there's no way you'd live in that situation. And that's a studio. studio apartment. So my car broke down, called my former boss, informed him. He was completely understanding, worked for him for 3 years. He loved working with me. There'd be times where me and the franchise owner were sitting there scrubbing at the floors together till like 2 o'clock in the morning, cleaning fryers and stuff. Awesome experience. Taught me so much, how to be humble, how to be a, a real man, in my opinion. A man isn't someone who's really just a leader or anything. It's just a man is someone who communicates properly, like a professional, like someone who tries to be very clear instead of being vague, while being sensitive at the same time to not insult someone or it's complicated. Um, anyways, so after I lost that opportunity, I knew I had to make a decision. So I moved out to a different county where the pay is on average less, but that's because where I was at, that's where all the companies are, which is why the rent was so high. But I know out here, even on minimum wage, as long as you're working 40 hours or more, you'd be able to make it. So that's my story. And that's pretty much how my life went.